We're doing it all across the San Francisco Bay Area to stop one Bay Area, which would subject 7 million people to a regionalization plan that most of these people, 99.9% of them, do not know anything about it. It combines transportation with housing. And you will see this, that you are restricted in your transportation choices. You will lose your ability to have a private vehicle. Your roads will be pulverized. You will be subjected to searches and seizures in your trains. You will not be able to get onto a train without identification. That means you'll be carrying ID on you at all times.
And they're running green police ads for Audi, and then the makers of it and the mayor of San Francisco said, this is what we really plan, and they already had green police in many cities in that very uniform. All this is psych warfare. I mean, it's so insane how evil these people are. And the weird thing is, and Rose, I want to talk to you about this after we take some calls, I've been to smart growth conferences 12, 13 years ago. I've been around them. They'll turn to you when your camera's off and go, we know it's a takeover. Ha, 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 we're going to make money. Most of them are actual crooks, even low level. They know this is a criminal mobster gang, but because they've got long hair and flip-flops and guys in suits, everybody thinks it's okay. So we'll race through yours and then everybody else that calls in, Agenda 21. But it's such a giant subject. I mean, it's everything. So I don't know how you couldn't address it to our guest, Rosa Koire. Again, Behind the Green Mask, Agenda 21 is the best primer, 180 pages with documents, you name it, how to fight it, what they're doing, how to recognize it, to give to people in your area. But you don't want regionalism. You don't want smart growth. You don't want sustainability. It has nothing to do with that. It's a power grab. And it hurts real environmental concerns because it takes over the whole movement and makes it only about globalist corporate power grabbing. So it's just a nightmare. You're on the air with Rosa Koire, our guest, Sam in Missouri. You're on the air. Welcome.
Hi. I was just like thinking about what you said about the takeover of the water supplies, and I know that some of the big industry beverage giants have already kind of went in and taken total control over it, even in... No,
they come in and buy city reservoirs, like right here in Central Texas where we live, and then they double the price. It's not free market. Your city's traitorous, your county, your state, they sell it. They call it privatization, and they double the price. I mean, it's just total criminality. They're taking the commons. Go ahead.
Does that tie in somehow to, like, maybe...
Yes.
Yeah, that's why they're saying blue gold now, because they're going to jack up the price with artificial scarcity. Rosa?
Yeah, I really want to talk about that. Thank you for asking that question, because yes, your water agencies need to be investigated. They are completely, totally connected with United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development and with ICLEI, the International Council on Local Environmental Initiatives. You will find that the more you conserve water, the more you will pay for water, because this is the plan to restrict your water usage. You will end up getting like an allotment of 10 gallons per person per day. The water agencies are restricting your water. And another thing you'll find is that your dams are being destroyed. And I'm not talking about little dams that don't serve many people. I'm talking about huge dams up in Northern California, up in Oregon, across the United States. About 1,000 dams so far have been destroyed. The plan is to destroy your independence in the rural areas and destroy your ability to obtain water.
Same thing. They're having government buy up and have regulators force small power plants, whether they're hydroelectric or coal, to shut down. So your city or your county or co-op's gone. So it's so they can force you to buy it from them. It's so criminal.
Yes, that's right. And that's what you see with community choice aggregation. You've got your government, which can't even keep its own streetlights on, is now going to go into the power business and compete with the big power producers. And you are going to be paying for this. And this is this is designed to make our economy fail. This is the purpose of Agenda 21, is to destroy your independence, both financial and your land independence, and ultimately the independence that you have in your own body. And this is the plan of Agenda 21. I want people to know, though, there are things we can do about it. I've got about 20 pages in my book, on what you can do. And you don't have to buy the book. You can go to my website. I have information there. The thing is that we need to work together as a world. to fight this, because this has been way too easy for them. They've managed to fly under the radar for a long time and make it seem like we're fringe. It's really coming out now, and this is the time that we have to really fight it, and we will win this together. We can stop United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development. We will prevail on this.
By the way, you're not just saying that. Maurice Strong, the head of Agenda 21 in Rio, when they started all this 20 years ago, they're about to have the new event this year, said, this will be a post-industrial America. Our goal is to destroy the United States industrially. And, of course, he's moved to China. Of course, they're exempt. So yeah. It's all about forcing everything to their system where they made a deal with authoritarians. So by shutting us down, that increases their value.
You know, he's got, of course, he's in Crestone, Colorado, and I've been contacted with the people in Crestone, Colorado, who are just in the Baca there, who are just their area, their town is being taken over by Maurice Strong. You know, if you go to the 1976 Habitat 1 United Nations conference, you will see that they define private property as being unsustainable because it is an instrument of obtaining wealth. The plan is to bankrupt all of us as individuals, to destroy our...
And this is the mega billionaires who are exempt from everything.
Yes, that's right. Of course, Maurice Strong owns this whole valley, all this water. You know, he was going to basically own all of the water in that area. And this is a control and a takeover of all of our resources. Don't forget that.
All right, stay there. We're going to come back with more calls. Long segment coming up. Tim, Nick, John, Herb, Bill, we're going right to you on the other side. The book is Behind the Green Mask, UN Agenda 21, Infowars.com. Going back to our guests, you hear me ranting, but I mean, we're seeing more and more censorship. We're seeing Cass Sunstein at the White House saying censor those that, you know, that disagree with us. Go ahead, Rosa.
Well, you know, back in the 1800s, early 1900s into the mid 1900s, we had tons of little newspapers. Everybody had a town paper. There was a morning paper, an afternoon paper, an evening paper. Now you pick up that rag that you've got in your town, which I know is a mouthpiece, and it's, you know, garbage. But it is your local paper, and there's 4 pages there, you know, 10 pages. So the thing is that we have been basically, this is what they get you to do. They offer you a product that looks really great to you. The internet is fabulous. We love it. And then they restrict it. And so meanwhile, they put everything out of business. You know, there's no more newspapers, and there's no more independent press newspapers. All those little papers are dead. I really appreciate you, Alex. Thank you for doing this show, and thank you for getting this information about UN Agenda 21 Sustainable Development out to the world, because we all are our own papers now. This is it. You can't rely on anybody else to get this information out. You want to make up flyers and get these out to people, because the more educated we are, the bigger we are, the more of us there are, the more control that we will have, because we have lost control. And this is what we need. You know, you've got your electronic media. What about when all your books are on electronic media and then they can change them? Or
Kindle's already deleting stuff. They admit that's their plan. They can now go out on YouTube with a program and erase every video that has your voice with a voice print. It's called Shazam. And we're actually seeing it. Again, a film that I own the copyright to, that a company doesn't even have the copyright to. I've got to deal with this. In-game, anyone tries to upload 30 seconds of it, it's preemptively blocking it because they're saying in-game is theirs. I mean, it's already here, and that's why I plan to start a physical paper where we email people the template to print it in their area or have it online, or even if we have to mail a thumb drive if it gets to that point, where I'm going to start a paper that's half our national news, and then the other half is whatever you put in it in your town. That's one of my plans. I've been so busy I haven't launched it because I knew all this was coming years ago. Now I need to hurry up and get that going because, I mean, it's here.
We're going to have to go back to the Pony Express or something like that, because the thing is that people will not be silenced. And I want to tell people, you know, obviously you know this if you're in school, if you're a kid, or if you've got kids, or, you know, you're reading your children's, you know, information that they come home from school with. Sustainable development is in everything. It's not just that, this is a plan to take your land and water and your mobility and your independence, but you'll see it in your schools. And so you're going to see it in their documents, and you're going to see it in your newspaper, and you're going to see that it's got the right jargon. They make it sound so great. They make you sound so stupid and so ridiculous if you don't go along with what they're saying. In fact, I've got this thing here I want to show you. Hey, you don't believe Agenda 21 exists? Here's, what is this called? It's called Rescue Mission Planet Earth, a child's edition of United Nations Agenda 21. It's got a workbook in here. It's put out by the United Nations. It's got a workbook in here for kids. Your children are being indoctrinated in your schools through outcome-based education, which teaches you to what? Be obedient. The corporate model wants you.
Well, it's dog training, but let me stop you and go back to calls because every point you bring up is so central. Yeah. I went to 3 national parks a few months ago with my wife and children, but also did news gathering while I was there. At every national park I went to, I showed this on air, like the Grand Canyon, had a free coloring book at all the park restaurants, and it said, tell your parents to turn off the lights and don't take a hot bath for the earth. Your carbon footprint's too big. And go to the ranger station, present this, and you'll be sworn in as a deputy forest ranger. And then I went to the ranger station, and they'll swear you in, but it's also a sales job where they have little uniforms for like $50 for boys and girls. And then the ranger tries to sell, I'm not kidding, tries to sell them little Hitler Youth outfits, and then there's manuals that are even bigger, all about how your parents are bad. I mean, these are hardcore crooks running an op like Hitler to take your kids from you. I mean, that's what a cult they are.
Alex, people who think you're ranting, the truth is it really is like this. This is exactly what's going on. Hitler Youth is not far off. We are seeing, that people are having to do their city year before they can graduate from school. This is mandatory volunteering. You're finding that, they're training children to be obedient like dogs. You're not learning anything in school. They're rethinking mathematics so that it's social equality, social equity. That's an element of United Nations Agenda 21. And, there's a logo. I want to show you this, too. Let me just show you this. This is the Marin County general plan. And every city and county in the United States has a general plan. And that's, tells you your land use plan. Right inside of this plan is the logo for the United Nations Agenda 21.
Yeah.
Those 3 circles. You're going to see this all over.
They're putting them up at Austin parks.
Yeah.
I want to read a quote here. We may get to the point where the only way of saving the world will be for the industrial civilization to collapse. Maurice Strong. Again, here's another quote. After all, sustainability means running the global environment. Earth Inc., like a corporation with discretion, amortization, maintenance accounts. In other words, keeping the asset whole rather than undermining the natural capital. And they just go on to say, shut down the United States. Incredible.
Man, you know what? Listen to this. You are the asset, okay? You are the asset. You people, all of us, are the asset. You're either non-producing or producing. The amount of food you're going to be getting, your calories, will be dependent on whether you're producing or non-producing. You might think this sounds crazy. It is crazy, but I am not. This is real. These plans, you go...
Oh, no, let me stop you. They admitted all the documents we were just showing the other day.
Oh, yeah.
That they're going to shut your resources down, and then when you can't take care of yourself, they're going to say, we'll give you money, but get sterilized. We'll give you money, but take all these vaccines. So they make you dependent so they can then cut you off.
That's exactly it. They create dependency, and then you are completely dependent on them, and then when they cut the programs, then you are willing to do anything.
And they can use the folks that are addicted to the programs as their army. Very uniform. All this is psych warfare. I mean, it's so insane how evil these people are. And the weird thing is, and Rose, I want to talk to you about this after we take some calls, I've been to smart growth conferences 12, 13 years ago. I've been around them. They'll turn to you when your camera's off and go, we know it's a takeover. Ha, 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 we're going to make money. Most of them are actual crooks, even low level. They know this is a criminal mobster gang, but because they've got long hair and flip-flops and guys in suits, everybody thinks it's okay.
It combines transportation with housing. And you will see this, that you are restricted in your transportation choices. You will lose your ability to have a private vehicle. Your roads will be pulverized. You will be subjected to searches and seizures in your... We're doing it all across the San Francisco Bay Area to stop one Bay Area, which would subject 7 million people to a regionalization plan that most of these people, 99.9% of them, do not know anything about it. In your trains, you will not be able to get onto a train without identification. That means you'll be carrying ID on you at all times.
And they're running green police ads for Audi, and then the makers of it and the mayor of San Francisco said, this is what we really plan, and they already had green police in many cities in that